goes. Yeah, so maybe I'll miss the cat tree, but maybe without the cat tree, you won't get interrupted.
I mean, I have
by
not
the cat.
fed him yet, but he is not currently on me to like feed him now. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise.
When these dads meet world, watching Boy Meets World. We grew up on the show, now we have kids and host a podcast. We watch each episode and then share our thoughts and grades. When these dads meet world.
They want you to take the roles.
Forgot about that. The one thing I do for this, and I start to talk over it. All right, let's try that again. Welcome back to Dads Meet World, your weekly dive back into that 90s classic Boy Meets World. I am one of the dads, Tyler.
And I am the other dad, Brett, who does not want you to take the roles, apparently.
Yes, but they do want you to take the roles. That's what we're here. We're here to take the roles and reclaiming the roles. Yeah, sorry. I'm still getting used to our new theme song. It's very intense. Like, I didn't realize how much of that initial one that we had would, like, kind of get me like hyped into the episode, and this one just kind of lulls me into it. So
it does, yeah.
But yeah,
it's like
we go through each episode step by step, talking about how we felt about the episode and little insights as dads that we pick up. And yeah, so Brett, how are you? What's going on? What's new?
Well, hold on. Oh man, I had to sneeze right there. right as you were asking me, I had a sneeze coming on. Anyway, I've delayed it. Apparently, it'll come back when I least want it to. Well, yes. Tonight we are recording on the trick or treat night here where I live, and so this is, for all intents and purposes, Halloween for my sleepy little burg. So went out with my kids and my one niece and two of my nephews and my sister.
Nice.
And we went trick-or-treating around the neighborhood and went out, as I always do. My annual tradition is to dress up as Michael Myers. And, I throw on the coveralls, the Michael Myers mask, and my gigantic fake kitchen knife, and bring
that's
joy.
Pretty impressive, actually.
Yes, it is.
I
actually,
know
yes.
there's a little tint to that sucker, so that's pretty impressive.
There is. It's a very reflective. Listeners, if you're not watching on YouTube, check it out on YouTube just a little bit. It's a very nice reflective paint job.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't make it myself.
Tell the closer I look at it, the more you can see it's not real. But like it, if
from
you're
across
just
the street,
by,
it picks up the street light glint, and it can be scary. But yes, I bring joy to the little children of the neighborhood, and I'm not making up that statement, because every year there are little kids that have no business watching Michael Myers movies who will want to say hi, and tonight was no different. Little kids saying, "Hi, Michael Myers," and so I stay in character. I don't talk while I'm walking around in a mask, and I'll wave back to him.
To you about this yet, but how do you feel about the latest Halloween franchise? Did you like it? Not like it?
I did.
You liked, some you didn't. Okay.
I did. I've always preferred. I really do appreciate what David Gordon Green wanted to do with it, and I know it wasn't perfect. He didn't execute it as well as he could have, but I really do appreciate what he did with it. Mm-hmm. And I like that in the world of movies, you can always start over and go again. But I do really appreciate what he did with it.
Yeah,
yes.
I will tell you, I did watch the first two, but I did not watch the conclusion. And from everything I've heard, the conclusion wasn't worth watching. So
I wouldn't say it's not worth it, but it's not what you would normally expect out of a Michael Myers movie. But it fits the theme that David set up throughout the first two, especially with the theme of evil and how pervasive it is and how it can weave its tendrils into everything and everyone. So
I think I think it would be interesting that November 1st comes along and Michael becomes a normal person. And then it becomes a buddy
Becomes
movie
a
with him and and
yeah.
Lori.
He becomes a CPA, and he's doing her taxes, getting her ready for March 15th.
Well, the man's in his like 70s/80s, so the guy should be.
Well, he's driven by evil. But anyway,
Yes,
but what's different, I waved. There was one little girl in a butterfly costume. She's like, "Hi, Michael Myers," and I just kind of wave. And she looks, and she sees my knife. She's like, "Why do you have a big knife?" It's like, and I'm thinking, like, how do you answer when you're in character? And she realized then that her group had wandered off in the other direction, so she ran off. But what really was different this year is I've never had someone ask to take a photo with me. And so this family asked if they could get a picture with me. And so they're little kids. They're like, I don't know, 4 and 6, kind of gathered around, and they snapped a picture with their phone and thanked me when they was like being at Disney or something. So,
Yeah.
and then as we're ending,
different times, man.
I know, as we're ending, we're walking up back towards the house, and this huge crowd that must have like carpooled from another part of town with like, I don't know, close to 24 little kids ranging, I don't know, 1st through 3rd grade, just piling out and running across the street. It's Michael Myers. Look, it's Michael Myers. Hi, Michael. Hi, Michael Myers. I'm just like, okay, just waving at him. So I took the mask off and I looked at Abby. I was like, Abby, that's why I do this every year. That's why this is my tradition. I bring joy to the little children. I'm like the Santa Claus of Christmas.
Yeah, that's weird.
And these children have no business knowing who Michael Myers is.
Yeah, I will say that when I used to wear my Batman costume, I would get some little kids excited to see Batman, and I feel like that's more appropriate than a very young
infinitely.
child being excited for. Yeah, my problem is that I like my beard, so like any sort of clean-shaven character is kind of upsetting to me to do. That's why the character that I'm doing this year, I'm not saying what it is yet, but he's kind of a hot mess of a character. So for him to have a beard, like, it fits. So I'm excited.
We should put up some pictures of our Halloween costumes on our social channels on Halloween.
Sure.
We should do that, yeah. So yeah, anyway, after all the trick-or-treating was done, it was really nice to see all the cousins sitting around doing the annual trick-or-treat candy swap. That was really cool for me.
Nice.
How are you doing, Tyler?
Doing pretty good. Everyone's healthy now, so yay. You may notice, Brett, I'm set up in a different location right now.
I have. It is
Since we're
absolutely
committed to
fantastic.
the videos, I figured I would move into the office. Now, I don't have a door, so it's an incomplete office, and I still have to paint it. And also, depending upon the wide shot over there, you may see some plumbing. So, it's a room that's not complete yet, but for right now, it's usable for the space, and eventually I'll be able to finish it and get it working nice. But hey, I got carpet under my feet, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah, I like it.
And currently there's no cats able to be here, so I think the video quality may be good enough. You could see some of the videos behind me, DVDs and books. So if you're a viewer out there and you catch a glimpse of a Blu-ray or a DVD or a book you want to shout out, feel free to. I'll tell you if I've actually read it or watched it yet.
There we go.
I will say that's the weird thing I forget about is that it's in my DVD collection. I'm like, oh, I have not seen this yet. It's been in my collection for years.
I've got a few sitting on the shelves.
DVD
like that,
collection is something people used to do, where they would go to the store and buy physically movies.
And then they sit on the shelves.
Yes. And they sit on the shelves. So, yeah, I will tell you that we did do Zubu yesterday at the Erie Zoo, so that was fun.
I saw some pictures that looked like fun, yes.
Sarah's upset with me because at one point we were by the lion area, and there was a lion actually, like, sitting, like, out so it could see people. And Henry, that one. Henry was dressed as a lion, and I didn't get a picture of the lion beside the lion, so I was told that I was a disappointment. So, but oh well. The kids had a good time. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, should we get into this episode, Brett?
I think we should. Well,
Awesome.
good-looking people. This week we're going to look at the 11th episode of Season 3, City Slackers. Now, this episode, Cory and Shawn sneak out to Mr. Feeny's cabin in the mountains for a weekend of unsupervised mischief. They get more than they bargained for when Mr. Feeny catches them and end up learning a few things about their old teacher. Meanwhile, Eric and Frankie engage in a marathon billiards match. This episode was written by Kevin Kelton. This is actually the second of 4 episodes that he wrote for the series. He wrote Pop Quiz, and he will also go on to write The Heart is a Lonely Hunter and I Never Sang for My Legal Guardian. He also had a pretty long run of writing in Hollywood, and actually used to write for a little show you might have heard of called Saturday Night Live from 1983 to 85. You know, you might have heard about that.
They have clips on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. Directed by Jeff McCracken. Originally aired January 5th, 1996. Currently enjoys an 8.0 rating on IMDb. And guess what, Tyler? It's time for... I hit
Dead
the button.
silence.
Come on. I redid this clip. I redid it. Come on. All right. I made a completely new clip for Vast Emotional Damage where I merged the Vast Emotional Damage soundbite and the game show music. And it's
Vast
not
emotional
working.
damage.
All right. So anyway, we're going to look at the Nielsen viewer information. And previously, our last episode pulled in 17.4 million viewers. Tyler, what do you think, coming back in this new year, 1996, City Slackers managed to pull in?
Well, this would have been the first episode of the year, wouldn't it?
It
It's
would
January. It's a low. I'm going to say we're at 18 this go around.
be 18? Ah, you're a little bit low. It was 19.6 million.
Nice. I'll take the low end.
Yeah, nice big
I mean, it's
start to the
January,
brand new
so-
year. Yeah.
This episode begins, Brett, in the Matthews household, in the kitchen. Cory and Shawn are talking about that big test that they got to study for, because you know, there's always a big test for a random class. You never know which one's going to be, but potentially it's Mr. Feeny's
Always.
class.
Oh, yes. Always a big test.
And Shawn's making a joke like, you know what's nice about your house? No Feeny. And I'm like, he's always around. There's more likely
Yeah,
chance they're going to
he's
run
their
into
neighbor.
Feeny at the Matthews house than in school. And they see him every day.
Shawn knows he's their neighbor. But I like that fun line about the good lighting in the bathroom.
Yes.
But I also like the note that Shawn was willingly studying. That was a nice little touch there.
I mean, excuse me. Unless at this point, since he lives at Turner's house, sometimes he feels like he needs to be studying. If he's not studying, he's doing something. And Turner could be getting on him of like, you need to be doing more things. You need to be trying things. Like, there's a chance that he feels more pressure at Turner's house and he can't just always relax and chill. So potentially he's like, I'll just be here. I don't have a teacher immediately bugging me about everything. Brett
True.
Hunter. Nice. So anywho, Feeny pulls in, and apparently we learn that Shawn's book is still in its original cellophane.
Yeah. he gets top dollar on the resale market that way.
Yes. Now, okay. I know in college I had to buy all my books, and so there were some classes I would not touch too much of the books if I knew I wanted to sell them or get rid of them the once class was done. But they didn't come in the original packaging.
Yeah, there were a few classes I just flat out didn't buy the books that I needed.
Yeah, that too.
I was required for those classes if I could get away with it. But yeah, most books I got. Now, granted, this was 1996, and textbooks in 1996, if you were purchasing them outright, they would have potentially, it could have been wrapped in cellophane. So I let it go a little bit.
Yeah. But
Because
also,
if you
like,
got them through a distributor, it would have been.
But at a public school, they should be giving you the books inside the class.
Agreed. This is definitely one of those. The joke comes first. Shawn would not
I
be
know.
reselling this
That
book.
needs to be our T-shirt. The joke comes first. Like
That's
the
our
thing
joke
that's
for this
driving me
year.
the
Not
craziest.
episode's gonna episode. This is the joke comes first this year.
It
I'll work
really
on that.
is
shirt.
true this year. But yeah,
I'm making a note
but
for
Feeny's,
myself.
Feeny's kind of giving Shawn a hard time about studying. He goes, "What's the point? What's the point of reading the book?" And he goes, "To get into college." And he's like, "More reading."
Shawn
I like
doesn't
how-
like reading.
No, but he's probably dyslexic, and it makes sense. Like, Shawn is a smart kid, but if he has a reading comprehension disability, making it hard for him to read, and he didn't get the time to practice and learn how to grow out of some of that, he would struggle. You know, for me, it's one of the reasons why deep dives I try to read as often as I can through them, because I don't like to read. I hate reading, and I'm bad at it. And so if I read the things, I try my best. I can at least look back and go, hey, I struggled through this even as an adult. I still struggle through some of my readings, but I'm still trying. You know?
Yeah.
Got my nose is itchy. All right. So anywho, Alan and Amy enter in to the kitchen,
Yes.
and Amy's
And I did
concerned
clip
of
this.
Oh, awesome! Go ahead.
I clipped this, but I wanted to note before we share it, I did find it quite amusing that Alan and Amy's first reaction when they come to the kitchen and Mr. Feeny's there is, are the boys in trouble?
What they do?
Well, they do. But I did clip this for us. I like this little conversation.
Are the boys in trouble?
Probably. But that's not why I'm here.
You remembered it's my birthday this Sunday. That is so sweet.
Oh, morning, George. The boys in trouble?
George remembered it's my birthday.
Oh, you got a birthday coming up? I'm kidding. It's Sunday. How could I forget? The Eagles are playing.
Not for you, honey. A key?
To my cottage in the mountains. I thought you two might enjoy a romantic getaway this weekend.
Oh, George, you are the best. Mwah. Thank you. Wait a minute. I thought you sold your place in the Poconos.
I intend to. I don't get up there very much, but I assure you, it's very romantic.
Well, that's very considerate, George. But see, I already had plans for her birthday.
Well, hang on to the key. Another weekend, perhaps.
Liar.
Oh, you don't think Alan has plans?
No, I don't. Well, okay, so we do need to discuss for a moment, because this episode is coming out like right at January 1st. However, the way that everything is around them, there's no way this is January. I can buy that this is February. That this is right around Valentine's Day and all that jazz. Like, I could buy that Amy has a close to Valentine's Day, February birthday. And because sometimes in Pennsylvania and also in Ohio, you know, February can be a surprisingly nice weather time period. Like, you can get a few weeks here and there where, like, snow is gone for some reason, and it's just kind of, it's a little gross outside, but it's warm outside, so you're comfortable. What I don't buy is this is January.
Yeah, and for this, I just want to point us back just for a little bit, just for us to keep a little bit of perspective.
No perspective.
They do look at snow in the mountains, because, I mean, they are the mountains. This was originally in production order to be the 9th episode. It was supposed to fall between This Little Piggy and Rave On. So this was supposed to happen a a few episodes before we're getting to it. So this was supposed to happen probably mid-November.
Yeah, I can believe that too. This is the weird thing about this episode is it feels like, because of the way the story plays out, there's no mention of Topanga whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So it almost makes more sense for this episode to be later in the school year. And part of the Cory is trying to figure out who he is now without Topanga, and that's why he's not willing to talk about Topanga for an episode.
Yeah, especially with Shawn's big pool being, lots of cuddly snow bunnies on the mountain, right. And Cory.
That makes
no mention of
sense
Topanga there.
For a Cory who's single to be like, yeah, let's go see if we can find some cute girls to go skiing with. That makes total sense for Cory. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like the interest for the writers / motivations for the characters don't always line up. Or, as our wonderful listener Abby likes to say, can you stop saying episode as to episode?
We'll find other ways to say it, Abby.
That's true. But this is truly one of the most episode as to episode. Here's a key to a place. Shawn stole it. We're going to go. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, regardless of whatever else happens in these scenes, it doesn't matter because they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we get to John Adams High, and they got tickets for the bus. And apparently, Shawn himself checked the weather, and it looks like there's supposed to be fresh snow on the mountain.
Yep. Fresh powder on the mountains.
Yes.
But we don't ski. I love Shawn's retort to that, Bo.
We don't learn, but we go to school, don't we?
Yes, but I like how we go to a different part of the hallway and we see Eric interacting with Mr. Turner.
Yes, we find out that Mr. Turner actually does teach 12th grade English Lit as well, which is nice to know that he's not just teaching, 7th and 8th and 9th graders. Mm-hmm. That he's teaching the full slate. I like knowing that for some reason.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense that Eric would be a student of either Turner, Eli, or Feeny, or any other teacher in the school. Could be. And I know for our public school, it's not that uncommon for a teacher to teach a 9th grade class, and then the next period is a 12th grade class. Mm-hmm. It's not that uncommon, and I don't understand why. I know why. I get it, Brett. I get it. The joke comes first. Accept it, Tyler. The joke comes first. And it doesn't matter what happens with Eric until it's right in front of you.
I just had parent-teacher conferences this week, a couple days ago, and, just looking at the board, because they have their class schedule sometimes up there on the boards with them, and, I can see the different. Some of them are teaching 4 and 5 different classes throughout a 7-period day, and they're different classes. They're not just I teach the same, intro level class 6 times a day. And we met with one teacher who was teaching Toby this year and taught Abby last year, and it's the same class he's teaching them both in. But it's a little bit of realism for me that Eric. Even though Eric is dumb enough to not realize that Mr. Turner knows he's his teacher, it brings a little realism to it that Mr. Turner knows this is his student and this is his 12th grade student, and he's not just teaching Cory and Shawn's class.
Although I do love this interaction. It's me, Eric, Cory's brother. Yeah, you're in my English class, my English list class. Oh, right. How am I doing? Not good. Not so great. Well, yeah, I will say it does make me giggle because your kids will experience a little bit of what I ended up experiencing, which is me having the same teacher as one of my siblings, whether it be my older sibling or my younger sibling, and getting feedback of the difference between us from those those teachers, and it just makes me giggle. Because my brother, for lack of better wording, I don't want to slander him, but maybe didn't pay as much attention in classes as I would. So some teachers absolutely like my brother because of his personality, not because of his work ethic, but they love me because I tried hard, and did the best I could. And my sister talked a lot. So when my sister finally came into high school, a lot of times she would hear, "Oh my gosh, this teacher loved Tyler. Couldn't believe that Tyler's sister was in their class now." And she's like, "So annoying how many of them liked you." And I'm like, "I'm sorry. I tried."
Yep.
Yes. So we find out Eric's goal of this episode, and that is to get a girl who only likes jocks interested in him for the episode.
Yes, that's Bianca.
Yes.
Also played by Julie, I was going to say also known as, but played by Julie Benz. First and only time we're going to see her on Boy Meets World. She has 97 acting credits on her resume, including Married with Children, Step by Step,
Step by step, day by day.
As Good as It Gets, The King of Queens, Roswell, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, George of the Jungle 2, where she took over as Ursula. I've never seen it.
It's not
Supernatural.
horrible.
I haven't. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. I love the original so much. It's hard seeing anyone besides Brendan Fraser as George. That's hard. That's just...
I will say one of the best line in the movie is him going, "I've not attempted anything like this since the original movie when my role was played by Brendan Fraser." He winks at the camera.
Saw 5, Dexter, No Ordinary Family. Great under the radar stuff for you, good looking people. Hawaii 5-0, 911 Lone Star, and a lot more. Fun fact: born in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
Yes.
So
Bianca only dates winners.
Yes, I will say it kind of reminds me a little bit about when Turner says to Feeny, "Teach me about her."
Yes.
Except now it's Eric saying that to Turner.
And Turner's like, "I really don't have to be here for this conversation, do I?" Okay,
No. But I will say we do get to the next scene when we discover that Eric is going to lie his way into her thinking that he's an athlete by claiming that he is
a grandmaster.
Pool master.
And this has got to be one of my favorite Eric. Not my favorite Eric plots, but my favorite Eric B plots in the entire run of the series. It's just comedic gold. It's just so simple and so dumb. I watched this last night as I was prepping, and I found myself just giggling at just how dumb and hilarious it was. And I've seen this episode. I've seen this episode 100 times. I know it word by word.
Yeah, I was gonna say this may be one of the first times of Eric's storyline is so ridiculous. It's a different TV show altogether. Mm-hmm. And they'll only get more ridiculous with the years passing. But yeah, this one was just bonkers. But intended to be bonkers.
It is. So Eric and Bianca are going to go shoot some pool. And the table's open, but we're interrupted.
Not
and that's
so
where
fast.
the clip... Not so fast.
If it isn't Mr. and Mrs. Valinsky playing on the table that me and Frankie were most joyously playing upon...
Whatever, guys. Well, the table was empty, so if you don't mind, we'd just like to finish up here.
What? Are you challenging Frankie to the table?
I said that?
Well, you implied it.
Come on, Eric. I'd love to see the Grandmaster at work. It'd make me very happy.
Okay, Frankie, you're on. I mean, how good could he be, right?
You're buried, Matthews. In the ground.
Oh, Joey the Rat being his most Joey the Ratish.
Oh, yes. I love it.
So, that is... Can we just agree right now, that is the Eric storyline of this ridiculous pool game that goes on forever, and we're not going to talk about this game for a little bit, other than to say, eventually, Eli shows up, and he's giving commenting on how ridiculous this all is.
Yeah.
And eventually, let's get back to that later in the episode.
Yeah, we'll put a pin on that one for now. We can focus on the cabin.
So we go to Mr. Feeney's Pocono cottage. They walk in, and they have a ranger giving them a hand, Ranger Mark.
Yes.
Do you want to say who he is?
Yes, he is played by an actor by the name of Troy Evans, first of 2 appearances on Boy Meets World. He'll show up again next season in Security Guy. He has 169 acting credits to his name, including Mama's Family, Cheers, Night
Love
Court.
Mama's Family.
Yep, Cheers, Night Court, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. How very appropriate for tonight. Ace Ventura, yes. Pet Detective, Step by Step.
Step by step, day by day.
Home Improvement, Lois and Clark.
Day by day!
The New Adventures of Superman. The Practice, Boston Public, ER, Veep, Bosch, and so many more. I wouldn't have time to list them. Man's been around.
We need to go through and see a resemblance between Step by Step to Private Practice, because I swear I've heard that connection many a times throughout this whole rendition. So eventually we'll have to look into that. They could have a similar casting director.
Could be.
Yes. But yes, we get to know Ranger Mark just a little bit. He's a little concerned of these 2 city slicker boys and their relation to Feeny, because he knows who Feeny is quite well, apparently. And I just have to say, Brett, before I move too far forward, Ranger Mark. He's the best guy I know, Ranger Mark. And his moose friend.
A moose can't be a ranger. There's
we realize in the episode, a moose can't be a ranger.
There is one other. This is the beginning of Boy Meets World's runner with mountain folk too.
Yes,
because this is really the inception here. Because when Cory and Shawn can't get their story straight about who's the brother, who's the cousin, they're brother cousins. This starts the runner through when Ranger Mark makes the comment about he knows some mountain folk or some mountain people.
Yeah.
And we'll see that come up season 4 again. But yeah, this is kind of a thing that Boy Meets World has with mountain folk. So if good-looking people, if you're from the mountains, I'm sorry, they poked fun at you.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just low-hanging fruit, essentially. Like, it's an easy joke to make, and
it is. Zeke.
I just You know how to turn on the lights, right? Yeah, we know how to turn on the lights. No, you don't. There's a breaker and everything, man.
Yeah. And Shawn doesn't understand how miles work. 1 mile for each of them on a 2-mile walk.
Yeah. Take about 2 hours. But apparently, they tried to walk to go to the ski lift, and it was closed. So they had to then trek all the way back.
And there's no snow on the mountain.
Yes, they're quite concerned and doesn't understand. Shawn said, he's like, you said there'd be snow on the mountains. They said the Rocky Mountains were blanketed with fresh snow. The Rockies? We're in the Poconos. I thought that was a description. You mean like chewy?
Are we not surprised? This is Shawn who thought Paris, Texas was tax.
Yeah, I can't believe Cory was willing to only go off of Shawn's information. Like, I can't believe he didn't look. Being as neurotic of the character is right now, he should have been the one looking on Weather Channel to see what the deal is.
He should have.
I mean, being in Philadelphia, they probably in their local paper would have stuff about the Poconos, like report from the Poconos or something about, that area and different resorts. And like, there's no reason why Cory was not more informed before he left, other than
no good reason anyway.
The joke comes first. Yes, but they're also concerned because they can't get the lights on still until the lights all of a sudden pop on out of nowhere.
Yes, they do.
Either the lights just went on, or I got an idea.
Yes, but this is also around the time they start yelling about the murdering psycho, Grady's axe, the story that the Ranger Mark decided to tell them. Funny thing is we were watching this episode as a family, and it was right before bedtime. And right before Ranger Mark started sharing this, I paused and said, "Okay, time for bed." And Sarah looked at me like, "Good catch." I'm like, "Thank you."
Yes, good catch.
Mm-hmm. So they have quote-unquote weapons ready to be able to attack the...
I like Cory's broom.
Yes. But the door opens, and it is, dun dun dun, Feeny.
Feeny!
Yes. And they're, of course, wondering, what are you doing here? And he's wondering, what are you doing here?
Oh, I do have our initial conversation with Feeny.
That's a bold-faced lie.
No, it's not.
Time to belly up to the excuse table.
Mr. Feeny, you've got no right trespassing on your own property.
Mr. Matthews, you're up.
Actually, Mr. Feeny, my parents are on their way up, and we just rushed ahead to straighten out the place.
That's a bald-faced lie.
Every word, sir.
So, you two snaked the key from your parents and snuck up here to have a good time, hmm?
That's a bald-faced lie, Mr. Feeny. It worked when he said it.
You know, Mr. Feeny, I thought you said you never use this place anymore.
I came to pack up so I could sell it.
We'll take it.
Hey, now you're trespassing.
I don't even hear you anymore.
I don't even hear you anymore.
I will say
that
this starts one of my favorite interactions between Feeny and the guys. They are separated from the classroom. They're separated from the backyard. This is full blown. Feeny is 100% responsible for them right this moment, and understands that what was going to be a night where he was going to do some picking up and maybe relaxing a little bit now turns into, I am now here to babysit these two.
Yep.
And a little more reality strikes in. But I just love the fact that Cory whacks him with the brick. What? It worked when he said it.
Yeah. That's fantastic interaction. Belly up to the excuse table. Or belly up to the excuse bar.
Yes. Oh, so, I mean, Feeny does kind of get down to business of like, okay, we're going to make the best of this. And they're like, well, how many beds are there, Mr. Feeny? 1. Shawn, I'll flip you for it.
Shawn is just so antagonistic. I love it. He's up to challenge Feeny on anything and everything.
Yes. But apparently they have dinner together, and it was civil. And of course, it's time for dishes, because Feeny's like, hey, we just ate. We do dishes right away, so that way they don't pile up. It's the safest thing. And Feeny apparently takes his watch off, sets it over the sink, which, in my opinion, is always a dangerous place to put any sort of jewelry.
Yes.
And he tells the boys, hey,
right.
you're supposed to do the dishes. The boys go to do the dishes, and what happens? The watch falls in, and it goes down the drain.
It does, but we skipped over a part.
Oh, yes. Shawn apparently has this trick he does with putting a spoon on his nose, and he sees how long he can hold it for. Apparently, his longest is 7 hours, Brett.
Oh, that's not the part I'm talking about, though.
What part are we talking about then?
I'm talking about the part when Shawn finally confronts Feeny.
Well, that happens right after this, doesn't it?
No, that happens right before it.
Oh.
Let me play that clip. I did
right,
clip.
go for it.
I split it in two.
All right, go ahead.
So,
I want to know why you hate me so much.
Is that what you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're always getting on my case.
Well, if by that you mean I'm always trying to get the best out of you, then yes, I'm always on your case. But I certainly don't hate you.
You see, Shawn?
It frustrates me to see such a charismatic young man with so much unfulfilled potential.
Yeah, I got you. So I'm just another one of your hopeless students.
And I suppose I'm just another stodgy old principal.
The stodgiest.
What do you know about me, Mr. Hunter?
I really love when Shawn finally, because he's been complaining the whole episode that Feeny hates him, that Feeny's always on his case, that Feeny just doesn't get him, and he finally sits down. He finally stands up for himself and says, why do you hate me? And he gets a straight answer. I don't hate you. I see so much unrealized potential that's being wasted. And we get this. He's not expecting that. He was expecting something a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get a little bit deeper here with this next. I split it into two. Mostly to avoid copyright striking so that it's not so long. But to give a little breather in between too.
Sean Patrick Hunter, son of Chet and Verna, born in Ohio, lived in Oklahoma, in and out of 5 schools before he was 12.
You memorized my transcript.
Oh, and you love a musical group named Counting Crows.
That's not in my transcript.
Do you know that much about all your students?
No, I don't.
And Shawn gets to hear that not only does Mr. Feeny see so much unrealized potential in him, but Mr. Feeny's taken time that he doesn't take for all of his students, for most of his students probably, to actually get to know who Shawn is beyond just his transcript. He knows the details of his transcript. He can quote them off the top of his head. He knows middle name, he knows his parents, he knows how many schools he's been in, he knows where he's lived, but he also knows his favorite band. And that's something that's not going to be in a transcript. That's something that he probably didn't even talk to Mr. Feeny about directly. And so Shawn is now faced with, Mr. Feeny really doesn't hate me. He really does see something in me that I just didn't know was there. And so that's the meat that I really, really love in this episode. Is this relationship building we get between Feeny and Shawn.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it is I guarantee you there's a lot more information that Feeny has.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he just knew that was enough of his band that he liked was enough for him to not have to go into more detail, And I know that just in general, when you are around teenagers long enough and you hear things that they talk about that they don't always think you hear, because for some reason, if you're not part of their conversation, they just assume that no one's paying attention to them. But you really do pick up a lot. But one of the reasons why anytime I've gone from one one church job to another church job, part of my frustration is like I'm not going to be able to get the amount of knowledge about every single one of these students out of my brain. I'm just going to have to deal with the fact that it's just information that is gone that I'm not going to be able to use, and hopefully someone else will pick up on and pay attention to. Because there's so much that young people will tell you about without telling you directly about themselves. So, oops, bumped my mic. So yeah, it's just part of life. Working with teenagers, it really is. And I love that he does confront him, saying, "Why don't you like me? Why do you hate me?" You know, I've had to have conversations as a teenager myself. And I would love for a teenager to ask me the same question if they thought I was too unreasonable. You know, but I fear this generation currently doesn't really have that in them as much. Almost like our society has given permission to not confront things, emotionally difficult conversations directly. But those emotional conversations are so important for growth that when we don't take those times, we won't realize that we're wrong. And sometimes our judgment is unfounded. So a lot of times people you think, especially someone in authority, you may think they don't like you, and it's quite the opposite, actually.
Yep.
And you won't know unless you ask.
Yeah, I had a college professor that I was convinced he hated me, and it turned out by the end of the class that I was one of his favorite students in that class session. He put more effort and paid more attention to me than he did to a lot of other students because he liked what he saw from me. I was just convinced that he hated me because of all of the attention I was getting and all of the, he'd look over my shoulder a lot more than anyone else. And I was just convinced that he was trying to catch me doing something wrong.
He probably was.
Could have been.
Make sure you don't take the easy way out.
Yeah, could have been.
Yes, but I do love Feeny turning it on Shawn, saying, "What do you know about me?" Not me, the teacher, the principal, the authority. What do you know me as a person? What do you know about George?
Yeah.
And Cory immediately kind of sees this as an opportunity of getting to know him better.
Yeah. Yeah, but Cory's a great friend, pushing for all of this for Shawn.
But I'm sorry, for some reason in my head, the watch thing happens and then they have this conversation because I thought Feeny was like, "Oh, dinner's done. We immediately go take care of it." I forgot that he kind of gets up from the table, leaves them, and goes and starts reading his diary. So, but yes, we go to the sink. And apparently the watch falls in. Cory thinks, "I got it." He doesn't have it. The fact that Cory thinks he has it when it's the drain, yes, the drain plug, it's quite alarming and concerning.
Yeah. Clearly Cory uses the dishwasher a lot at home.
Oh, you're acting like he actually does dishes and chores.
Yeah, I probably am.
Yeah. But an interesting new scene takes place, Brett. Cory wakes up to finding Shawn reading.
Reading a book. What?
Yes. He opened a book. Do you have any of this clipped?
Did. Not this. No, I left this open for us to discuss if we want to.
Good. So, yeah, Cory and Shawn go through a couple of important dates. December 19th. It would have been 61. November 14th, 1965. So they're learning that Feeny is okay with breaking the rules a little bit. Using
he
sick
was.
time when he's not actually sick. We learn about this as well from his dentist appointment that he's going to miss class for.
Yes.
But yeah, we're learning a little bit more about him, of what's important to him, spending time with his wife, and just having fun. But we also
Still
learn
didn't see the slopes.
Yes, but we also learned that the watch he has, which he said, it's just a 35-year-old watch, was given to him from his wife in 1990 or in 65 as a 5-year anniversary gift.
Mm-hmm.
So something that his wife gave to him, which we know that she has passed away, and it's not just a piece of jewelry then. It's a very sentimental, important item.
Exactly.
You could argue it may be the thing he cherishes most.
I would say so, yes.
Is there anything that Kelly gave you that you look at and you go, I will always cherish this, and this is a symbol of her love to you?
There is a photograph of us from our time at Geneva that is framed that I really do hold on to. That's probably one of the most outside of my wedding band. Yeah, that's probably the most. What about you?
Well, I will say we do have a picture that someone took of us minutes after we started dating. Like, we took a walk, and in that walk we talked through all of our concerns and worries, and ultimately saying that yes, we do like each other. We then walked back because we were at camp, and we sat down, and literally the head counselor was taking pictures of everyone around, and they just kind of clicked on us. And so that's a picture we have floating around somewhere. But she got me Clue 2 years, I think, ago for Christmas. And I always loved the game Clue, and they keep bringing out new editions of Clue, not realizing that they've had perfect editions of Clue. And she got me a later edition than the one I had even as a kid, and it's got wood pieces instead of plastic, and it's beautiful. So, not really a jewelry piece, but something that, made me know that she loves me and that she listened to things I said. Because I'm not a good, saying out loud the things I want. So whenever my wife actually gets something that I've stated, I'd love to have this, but oh well, I'd love to, but we can't do it. I don't like spending money on me.
Yeah.
But yeah. I would say other than our children.
Oh, of course. That goes without saying.
Yeah. So yeah, we go to the next scene, and it's the morning, and Cory kind of runs in quickly. He's like, "Hey, what does he say exactly? Sorry, he runs by and says, "Can't talk now." Shawn's in over his head. Yeah, he's looking for a flashlight
or a wetsuit.
Shawn's yelling for him, and Shawn walks in, and Mr. Feeny's kind of upset. He's getting stuff all over the rug, and Shawn's been kind of disrespectful, and the boys did lose something that was super important to him, and Shawn reveals the watch. And he said, well, we thought it was important since it's an anniversary gift. Mm-hmm. And
Mr. Hunter, you read a book.
Yeah, Feeny immediately knows you read a book. Which, I gotta say, though, if Feeny didn't want them to read it, he could have put it somewhere else.
Yep.
But he didn't. He left it probably where he always keeps it. Potentially not even thinking after the watch got lost. But you know,
because after that watch goes down the drain, he just kind of walks out of the room.
Yeah.
They might not have seen him the rest of that night.
That's true. That's very true. Feeny puts the watch back on his wrist, though, immediately.
Right out of the septic tank.
Which is a little concerning, but I mean, hey, if you thought it was gone, I could understand why he would just throw it on immediately and not think a second thing of it. You know,
I mean, he does wipe it off at least.
A little bit. But yeah, this is a really nice moment between the three of them. Of we messed up, we wanted to fix it immediately, and we knew this was important to you.
Yeah. And the boys were willing to do whatever it took to get that back.
Yeah.
They knew it was important to him. They knew they were the ones that lost it, and they were wanting to do whatever it took to make it right.
Yeah, but I will say, like, I was thinking about this at one point of like, gosh, I couldn't imagine going into someone else's septic tank. That sounds gross. But for Shawn Hunter, I can only imagine that he's like, yeah, no, I'll go get it. That's fine.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Honestly, it's probably not the first septic tank he's been in.
Probably not. So I just love that Feeny's like, all right, well, why don't you boys go into the lake and go wash off real quick? It's like 20 degrees out there. Oh, wear a sweater.
Yeah. Still a little bit of Feeny snark, sass. I was going to combine the two to snass. Still some Feeny sass.
A lot of snass right now. But we get back to the Matthews household where
and I did clip the interaction here.
What the heck were you two thinking?
Look, you lied, you trespassed, and you endangered yourself.
You were in it a lot deeper than you were in that septic tank.
George, I am very sorry.
Yeah, but believe me, the punishment will fit the crime.
Well, fine, but bear in mind their behavior was wrong, but their spirit is right. They're two good guys. I'm pulling for you.
Oh, Mr. Feeny. Your key. Thought you might need it when you sell the place.
If I sell it.
Oh, and this is yours, too.
Guys, we're not finished with you yet.
Gentlemen, a word of advice. Don't talk, nod a lot.
Yep. I love that pulling for you as he walks past Shawn as he's leaving the room.
But also that advice is given in kindness, not a order.
Yes. I mean, it's truly a word of advice. It's not telling them what to do. It's just, hey, I've been there. I know your parents. Just, you're gonna get in trouble. You're gonna get the you earn whatever's coming your way. Just don't make it worse.
But I love that Shawn hands Mr. Feeny a spoon. And in a way, it's kind of a symbol of respect of, hey, you should see why I like this.
And he tries it.
Feeny, he puts it on his nose, and he's sitting like, I don't get it. And there's just, there are things that younger people do that as older people you just won't get. I don't get Among Us. I get some people do, but there's certain things I just don't get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there always will be.
Yes. But we get to the tag of the episode, Brett. And this is when we're returning back to the billiard game, because apparently after the montage and inspirational thoughts, they still have sunk nothing. And they're just at a standstill.
15 hours. They have not sunk a single shot.
Yes.
Because in Mexico, they had chicken wire around the table.
Yes, apparently.
And clearly, Bianca has long left Eric because,
So how's it feel to be dating a winner?
I'll let you know as soon as I find one.
Yeah. So, Frankie and Joey finally leave, and Eric just kind of lines himself up and takes one last shot and sinks everything.
Yep. Just like Mexico.
Yeah, just like Mexico. And that, dear viewers, is an episode.
Yes, it is. So, Tyler, let's get into some deep dives.
People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
Well, I didn't have this initially, so I looked this up during. But Casting Crows is an American rock band from the San Francisco area, formed in 1991. Apparently, they're still together, so that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mr. Jones.
yes, I was going to say, with such hits as Mr. Jones, also known as Rain King, A Long December, Hanging Around, and covered Johnny Mitchell's Big Yellow Taxi.
Hanging around this town.
And
I listened to a lot of
Accidentally
Counting
in
Crows.
Love from Shrek 2. This is a band that's been around for a while and still good, but it makes sense that it would be a Shawn band, for lack of better wording.
I suspect it could have been a Ryder Strong band, even, that may have slipped its way in there.
Could be. I did look up cabins like currently for sale in Poconos, and so going based on what I found, first of all, yikes. Okay, maybe this is time for a rant, but the cheapest one I found, Brett, is $200,000.
Yeah.
And that is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. But it's also a small cabin. Now, my problem, good-looking people, is that once upon a time, people used to buy tiny cabins or build cabins. They'd have a small little bit of land, and they would build these little things so that way, middle America families could enjoy them and go to them. Like my great-grandmother had a family lake house cabin that they would constantly go to, in the summertime, and her son owns it now, but you cannot build in that area for anything under, like, I don't know, 500,000 easy. Most of these cabins are ridiculous, and it's almost like you're not even in wilderness. You're just at a different home, essentially, now. Most of the cottages were built with no septic tanks or anything like that. Like, it was a big deal when they got running water finally, and it's just incredible to me that what used to be something of a way for regular families to go out to mountain, go skiing, go to the lake, and do boating, it's almost become impossible for most young families to do that nowadays. Mm-hmm. Like, we barely were able to buy a house. Like, by the skim of our teeth, buy a house. Like, we could never dream about building or buying another one right now as we stand.
Yep.
So, yeah. Which leads me to my next thing, Brett, and that is rangers in the Colorado state parks want people to remember to not feed the wildlife. I found an article which I think I'm going to send to you so that way you can show it to the good-looking people. It's called "Don't Give Moose Pizza." Park rangers remind knucklehead visitors. Basically, a park ranger walked in on someone feeding pizza to a moose in 2000. Article was posted August 12th, 2020. So yeah, apparently one person was giving a moose pizza and another person was petting the moose. And the reason you don't feed the wildlife, good-looking people, is because they don't want the animals to be dependent upon individuals, because even though some people can feed and know what to give them, not everybody does, and they don't want the people to become a source of their food. They want them to be independent and almost like you're not there, because you're not really there. Mm-hmm. The animal should not be dependent upon the people. That's how they get domesticated. That's how you get a cat behind me constantly demanding his food.
Exactly.
Yes. So, billiards, Brett. Mm-hmm. They were playing 8-ball, which you play with 15 balls, some solid, some stripes. And the goal of the game, of course, is to get in your color, like your either solid color or the striped color, and you gotta also get the 8-ball in as the last shot. I have the rules here, but I don't know. I'll just give the loss of game. A player loses the game if he commits any of the following infractions: fouls when pocketing the 8-ball, except C 8-ball. Breakdown. Pockets the 8-ball on the same stroke as his last of his group of balls. Jumps 8-ball off the table at any time. Pockets the 8-ball in a pocket other than the one designated. Pockets the 8 when it is not the legal object ball. All infractions must be called before another shot is taken, or else it is deemed no infraction occurred. Interesting. I say this is probably the most popular version of pool that people will play. And it's also the one that doesn't require as much skill, I will say, because this is the one that I would often play as a kid. Well, unfortunately, good-looking people, the article that I had is from New York Times, so now I'm just going to take a moment to say, thanks a lot, New York Times. You made it difficult for me to find the information I need, so now I'm not going to talk good of you.
Paywalls are not always a good idea.
No, it's not, and that's what frustrates me, but that's for a whole different other story. Essentially, what I was going to tell you about, and I was going to give detail of, was a guy who had the longest, what's called straight ball. And he went, it was like over 600 shots where he had to call the shot and hit the ball in.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it is. It was considered an unbreakable record. I was going to give the name of the guy and everything, but New York Times got in the way. So if anyone's curious about that, all you got to do is Google. I just was Googling longest game of pool, or I guess it'd be longest straight shot, and maybe you'll find it. But yes, I apparently need to have a paywall, and I'm not paying New York Times the $1 to read New York Times again. So media's got to figure out how to pay the things and be able to do the stuff, but I'm not using that. So yeah. Sorry. Maybe we need to deep dive about that later on, but not today.
That'll be behind our Patreon paywall.
Yes. Brett, you may be wondering, yeah, if you want the New York Times stuff from me, you got to do Patreon for that. You may be wondering, Brett, because Feeny and his first wife were married on February 14th, 1960. You may wonder what important things happened that day.
Mm-hmm. Well, what did happen that day?
Well, they had the second Daytona 500. It was won by Junior Johnson. Survived a 37-car crash on turn 4. Oh, I'm sorry. Survives a... Oh, no, okay. I was wearing it was showing me the specific car, but I don't care about that. So Junior Johnson won the second Daytona 500. Masha Kubia Khan was elected president of Pakistan. you hear that?
I heard Masha Kubia Khan was elected president of Pakistan.
I was asking if you heard the water trickling through.
Now I can, yeah.
All right. Famous birthdays. Eric Shea, American actor from Yours, Mine, and Ours. The Poseidon Adventure, born Los Angeles, California. Meg Till, Canadian actress. Big Chill, Impulse, born in Los Angeles, California. And you may know this person. Jim Kelly, American football player from Buffalo Bills, born in Pittsburgh,
yes.
Pennsylvania. How long ago was this date? First of all, it was a Sunday, so that's interesting that they were married on a Sunday. But it was 63 years ago, 8 months, 14 days. Chinese zodiac would have been the rat. Apparently the number one song was the theme from Summer Place, Percy Faith and his orchestra. Interesting. So yeah, initially I did have the other dates as well, but I don't think they saved, so we're not going to worry about those. But Brett, those would be our deep dives.
All right, so let's talk about what we learned.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
Tyler, what did you learn was most important in talking up through City Slackers?
Well, I learned that as a adult who works with teenagers, it's important that they see me in an environment where I'm not in charge or trying to move, that I'm just with them, if that makes sense. You could argue that Cory and Shawn are finally seeing George and not Feeny, Mr. Feeny, or anything like that. They're just spending time with George. And I think it's important, especially if you have a group of teenagers that you're like dedicated to helping and teaching them, for them to see the other side of you that is not the person in charge of a room.
All right.
What'd you learn?
I'm going to pick up a little bit on what you had mentioned about something that this generation does seem to be leaning towards more and more, that we need to be more willing to ask tough questions, even especially when we're afraid of what the answers might be. I do see that a lot in my own purview, whether it's with my own children, with teenagers, with other adults around me. I see that a lot, where people are becoming more and more afraid to ask tough questions, unless they're online and then they really don't want the answers that they get. But be willing to ask tough questions, because that's the only way that we're going to get to the deep answers that we need to get to. So
I'm right?
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
how would you grade City Slackers?
As much as I kind of get annoyed with the whole pool situation and Eric having another week of pointless B plot story, and there's a lack of Amy and Alan in this episode, I would give this episode an A+. This truly is one of the top episodes. I can't remember if it's in our top 20 that we were discussing, but even if it's not top 20 for us, yeah, it's arguably in that rank of top episodes of this show. Could be top 25, but I can't give this episode anything other than an A+.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's an A+ for me. I mean, yeah, it's Eric's B plot is dumb funny.
Yeah.
To the point where it's
only there.
It's exactly what you need. The depth and the weight that Cory and Shawn and Feeny's story is carrying. We need Eric's funny in this one.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And as much as I'd love to have more of Alan and Amy this episode, and even Turner, they need a week away with Feeny after last week not having any Feeny.
Yeah.
So we need more Feeny this week after no Feeny last week. So
Yeah.
A+ for me as well.
I agree. Well, the show is doing a good job right now of them trying.
Apparently, I gave a thumbs up.
I was like, "What's up with that?"
I'm using I'm using an Apple operating system on FaceTime, so I forgot that they included those expressions. So
cool. What I was going to say is the show right now is balancing, I think, pretty well.
Yes,
Cory is going through stuff, and he's going through stuff in a way that his parents can't always help him.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like he's hit this weird wall of like he thinks he knows what his parents are going to say in response, so he doesn't ask them.
Exactly.
And I've been watching a little of the later on in the show, and Cory is constantly going back to them, like, I need your help, I need your help. And right now it feels like he's almost trying to explore of, I get what I'll get with my parents, but what do these other people say? What does Mr. Turner say about this? What does Mr. Williams say? What does Feeny think about these things? And also even some of his friends, and what does his peers say? Like, it's like at this moment he's putting more value in other people's thoughts, ideas, but he almost needs to have that awkward, I don't want to ask my parents yet. I get that. I went through that myself.
Yep, and we all do. Yeah.
So, I believe I owe you a dad joke, Brett.
You do.
And I actually have it ready to go.
All right.
I know, right? So...
Right, there we go.
Nice. All right, Brett. Who did the ghost take on a date?
Who did the ghost take on a date? I don't know who.
His ghoul friend. I want to give you one more because I like this one a lot. Why didn't the ghost dance at the party?
I swear I heard this one from Alexa the other day. I can't remember the punchline though. Why?
He had nobody to dance with.
Oh, I think of skeletons on that one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good-looking people, that is another episode from us, the dads at Dads Meet World. We thank you for listening, and hey, we'd love to hear from you. So find us on social media.
We want to hear from
Dads
you.
Meet World. Yes, at Dads Meet World across all social media platforms that we're on: Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook. Drop us an email at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com. I checked just before we started recording tonight. No emails this week. But if you send one, we'll read it on the air. We've read every email we've gotten so far.
Yeah. And do you have a theme of a horror theme thing, tradition you have that you like to wear, costume, whatever that thing is?
Let us know what your traditions are. And hey, we're going to be coming up on Thanksgiving and Christmas, so let us know what your Thanksgiving or Christmas traditions are.
Ooh, I love Thanksgiving traditions. I want to hear those.
Yes. Let us know what your family traditions are. We love to share those things.
Yeah.
And hey, give us a 5-star review if you think we earned one.
Yeah.
And if not, give us one anyway and tell us why you think we shouldn't get it.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler, until next time, I'll see you good looking.
Yeah. For you, good looking.
How can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid?
You can find Dads Meet World on Facebook, Twitter, and probably a few other places just by searching for Dads Meet World. Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story. Okay, I gotta remember to hit live instead of preview.
Yeah, that was very low.
All right. All right, so with all that table setting, Tyler, take us away.
Vast emotional damage.
There it is. I got one more. Let me finish it and then we can keep going.
All right, I'll let this play out and I'll clip it and drop it in. Clearly, I'm cutting this part out.